Okay, exposed wood surfaces, we'll be talking more about this shortly. So I'll talk a little bit more about the evidence-based. Historically, there's been a lot of evidence that people like timber surfaces, and particularly natural-looking timber surfaces. So if you ask people to compare a natural-looking timber surface to, say, concrete, to plastics, to other building materials, they'll typically prefer the wood. They'll associate positive feelings with it, like warmth and comfort. There's not actually been much evidence produced, despite wood being in biophilic design theory as one of the natural surfaces you might want to think about. It's actually been pretty limited evidence. There's been a couple of studies showing that when you put people in rooms with differing amounts of wood surfaces, up to an intermediate level of wood, you get lower blood pressure with more natural exposed wooden surfaces. When you say if we're in this room and we had, even more wood than we do now, if you had it be absolutely overwhelming, there is a little bit of evidence that goes too far, but not much. Again, that was one Swedish study in a hospital setting, so we're not actually really sure that applies in all contexts. So the study has demonstrated for the first time that wood really does have strong biophilic properties, which are associated with better well-being, mood and productivity. And I guess we're a bit excited about that because it presents some opportunities to expand the biophilic toolbox so that instead of thinking biophilic designs for new buildings only where you can integrate every element, do we have a big enough toolbox that you can more easily apply it in a retrofit situation or in other circumstances? That's quite important. Okay. Now I'm going to skip through natural forms and natural materials. Natural forms is a really critical part of biophilic design, often the most striking examples. So if I want to promote biophilic design, I put up beautiful pictures of buildings which use spiral patterns, use forms inspired by nature. There's actually very little health literature on the impacts of that and little workplace productivity literature. I know that all of us would agree they look absolutely beautiful and you feel great when you're in the buildings. So it's not that there's evidence that they're not effective, there's just a lack of evidence, a lack of good studies that have been done on that. And similarly with other natural materials like stone, water features, they're an important part of biophilic design theory, but we don't actually have a whole lot of research that's been done into how much is enough to get an effect and in what circumstances. So I guess where we're at, we need a biophilic design toolbox that works in situations from new design to retrofit. We have plenty of evidence that tells us one plant or one biophilic element is not enough and that we need a big toolbox so that when you're hit with a new situation, you can think, what can I bring in here? How can I actually integrate it? How can I actually make the argument that this is worth doing? Now, talking about building the evidence base. So the reason I'm here is because last year I got contacted by FWPA and they said, we funded a study that was then done by a group called Pollinate. We think they've done a really good job and we think they've shown that wood has strong biophilic properties. I'm like, well, of course you would, you're FWPA. Because, you're interested in timber. So I said, well, look, I'll have a look at it. I'm pretty sure the evidence won't be as strong as you think. I'm an academic, I can do this review. They sent me the results of the study, then sent me the data set when I asked for it. I started playing with it and I got so excited that I asked Pollinate if I could work on writing some journal papers out of it because it's a really solid data set. So they've actually produced some really good evidence that does a good job of what you need to do from an academic point of view in establishing, dose-response relationship. Because they didn't just ask about timber, because that's the first mistake you would have made if you did the study badly. They actually asked about your work satisfaction, your well-being, the type of workplace you worked in, all the different biophilic elements you had exposure to, traditional, which is your views, your lights, your images, your plants, non-traditional things like timber surfaces. They also asked about the other things going on in someone's workplace so they could be excluded and accounted for in analysis. And it's really exciting because even when you control for all those things, we're still seeing some good association.